What is up, and welcome to NeON Topic, our gaming discussion show where we break down all of the biggest topics in the games industry. I am your host, Luke Shot First, aka Gage Luke, and I'm here with a gaggle of geese, my good friends. I'll start with Jacob doesn't approve, but that's okay. He's the Dungeon Master, aka the Producer Supreme. Jacob Jones, what is up?
I'm a pawn Tony. Got my dillies on a pepper tank.
What up?
What's up? And next to him is our distinguished guest. We're very happy to have him here. He is the man that knows all the things about all the wrestling. He is Foxy Steve. Happy to have you with us tonight. What's up?
I am happy to be here as an honor. Excited to talk about video games and the like. And I am high off of Mountain Dew, so I'm ready to rock.
Yeehaw! Sporting the green machine. I'm over here drinking one of those session lagers. You know, cheap but tasty. Nice. And then to his right, digital right, at least, he is the not forgotten.
The other way, yeah.
And also loved Miguel, aka Boxcar Miguel. Thanks for being here to talk some video games.
What a little I got, but yes.
Hey man, you're rooting us to the common folk. And then we got last but certainly not least, he is the sexiest male lead vocalist in the business. That is the singer bro over there with a nice rip roaring fire on this cold January day. What's up, man?
You know, if I had an avian alliteration to go with your gaggle of geese, that could be really great right now. I'm excited to talk about a Googleplex of games.
A plethora of puffins sort of thing?
Plethora.
Yeah.
Are you sure you know what a plethora is?
Yes, this is indeed NeON Topic. It's NeON Gaming Dimensions
I got the
discussion show. I knew it was a reference. I just didn't know what it was for.
I figured you guys didn't know, and it's fine. Fine.
That's fine. I'll be the lame one. But yeah, we're gonna talk our game of 2024 this year. This got a little bit put on the back burner as we finished some NPD stuff. We did some movie episodes, and we've been gearing up in the background for a whole new kind of suite of content in 2025. Also, last week we did our Fantasy Critic League draft with a whole 13-person panel. It was pretty epic. But because of that, this Game of the Year talk got pushed back a little bit, but it is time, and we're happy to be here and talk about all of our favorite games from 2024. So we're going to go through and do that in a bit. But if you're watching here live on twitch.tv/Neon Pocket Dimension, you're already in the right place. So watch us live here on Wednesdays and sometimes Thursdays, depending on what kind of coverage we're doing or events or different shows that we're rolling out on NPD and NGD. But if you miss us live, you can catch us later on youtube.com/@NeON Gaming Dimension. And if you like our non-gaming content, then check us out at youtube.com/@NeON Pocket Dimension. We'll be right there for you. And then, of course, check out our comedy and culture shows over on Odd Valley Studios, like the Odd Valley Tavern Drinking Extravaganza, which happens 1 or 2 Fridays a month. 1 Friday a month, Jacob?
Yeah. Yeah, we already
did
we did our January one.
Yeah, we did.
I don't remember it. So, it was a good one.
So, it was a good time.
I don't know what we're doing next month. We've done like multiple Valentine's ones, so we'll cook up something fun.
Yeah.
We usually
some
do.
Sexy talk, maybe. Hell yeah. All right. Well, then, without further,
talk about poop again.
Do the poop drinking edition.
Yeah,
that sounds like, depending on what you do, it could be a little bit. It could be some gag reflex.
Be sexy if you wanted to, I suppose. Yes.
Oh God.
You can get real Brazilian.
No, you mean German.
I was going to say German, yeah, but that's okay. Yes.
All Brazilians were the women who did 2 Girls 1 Cup were Brazilians.
Yes.
For the letter, just putting
I'm
that in
we didn't cover that on
record.
Our poop episode.
You're right.
I am surprised
A lot
we
of
didn't
things
cover that on
cover.
That's true. Well, that's why we'll have to do the
That's
update
all right. We got
episode.
We got a little
The
backed
poo
up.
redo.
We got a little backed up. We'll have to do the poo redo. You know what I'm saying?
No, it would be.
I have a little poo pillow over here right next to me, actually.
It'd be the poo part.
TMI.
You're a poo pal.
Because I can show it to you.
Shout out to Arturo in the chat, just laying down the dad jokes.
Oh no.
Oh, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, then, without further ado, let's get into. There's no good way to segue out of the poop talk into the game of the year. But how about these games were the games that weren't shit this year? And to talk about it, we're going to go to our guest first. We're going to start with our runners up, I think, and then we'll talk about our games of the year. So you got a couple there for me. We'll keep the runners up a little faster, and then we'll spend some more time on our big bad. So what you got on your first one, Foxy?
Well, in terms of runners up, the problem with 2024 was that there was so much going on that I didn't get a chance to finish a lot of stuff. I played a lot of things. But Dragon Age is my runner up because I feel like it just doesn't get enough shine, especially last year amidst all the ridiculous drama that makes no sense to me. But it's just a solid game. Like, it's solid as hell. Like, I think any other year that game would be in more conversations for Game of the Year. It does so many things right.
It was... I have like 60 hours in it or some shit like that, and
Damn,
I want to go and do some more. So like,
yeah, I'm at about the 35-hour mark. It really is. Like, it feels so good to play. I'm at about the 35-hour mark. Just trying to knock out. I like to knock out as many side things as I can before I have to do a story mission. And so I'm just kind of in that part of the game, and it's just so fun. Like, and I'm always constantly stunned by the visuals. It nails the visuals. It nails the gameplay. I personally think the writing is fine. I don't really see the criticism with the writing as much as other people do. Mm-hmm. Maybe I just have a low bar. I don't know.
I was wondering the same thing, right? Like, when I saw that, I was like, what are they talking about? I think the writing is pretty good. Some of it's a little cheesy, and I'm like, all right, okay. You're doing the video game thing, but like, they made me like the characters a lot. So
yeah, I mean, it gets the job done. It tells the story coherently. The characters are endearing. Like, the settings are gorgeous, and it is more narrow in focus versus like the older BioWare games, and I get that. Especially compared to something like a Baldur's Gate 3, which is what it's compared to. But the choices that I have made, I felt the impact in it, and I want to see how things would go differently otherwise. So I can't wait to put more time into it and actually finish it up. So yeah, it's runner up because I haven't finished it pretty much.
Also,
totally.
Shout out real quick to the boss fights so far in the game. Like, I've not fully completed the game, but from what I've played, they're pretty badass. They're challenging. They're pretty challenging.
Oh my, yes, they are. Especially like the side stuff where you have to go find like demons or whatever.
There's a particular side one. It took me at least 10 tries to get. So
I had to go back, grind a little more, and then come back with a different crew to make it work with the combos.
Yeah, I will say it does force you to think about a strategy if you're playing on anything more than the easiest difficulty. So
you really do. Like, is that Skyrim?
But why is it Skyrim? Just because I got up for a second? Stupid ass thing.
It was like it moved on to like Dragonborn DLC.
Let me tell you about the boss battles. Let me tell you about those visuals real quick.
Whoops.
Yeah, that's a great game. I really love Dragon Age. So
I can't wait to. I can't wait to play it. I have a suspicion because since it's an EA published thing that eventually it might come to Game Pass. So I was kind of like, I'm playing a bunch of other stuff right now. I was in the middle of Metaphor when it came out, and so I was kind of like, let me let it ride, and I'll come back to it. But it looks awesome.
I highly recommend it. I really do. Like, you can kind of tell that it started out as a different kind of game, like that it was a more narrow multiplayer thing. You can see the bones in there of what it used to be, but the fact that they were able to pivot and change it into something else successfully, you don't see that story end well most of the time when that has to happen with a video game. And the fact that they pulled it off, I think, is impressive.
Yeah, thank goodness it's not another Anthem, even though I loved Anthem Combat, but
yeah, like this really was the game that I think BioWare needed it to be, even if EA didn't. I got into some conversation in the kind of funnies chat earlier with like someone who thought EA's projections were like realistic for this game for like 3 million like shipped. I'm like, no, like the last one was 10 years ago. It doesn't have that kind of cachet. And like, why would they think this this would sell to that level? Especially with BioWare having issues and losing a lot of faith with
BioWare burned a lot of bridges with people for sure. Yeah, so
this was like that. This was like the olive branch to like rebuild some of that trust.
No doubt. Mm-hmm. Hell yeah! Well, that's awesome. Dragon Age Vanguard runner up. Let's move on down to Jacob, aka OMGs. What you got for your runner up here?
So, like, you're saying runners up or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, it's more of an honorable mention because it's not like the whole point of me saying let's pick a game that's not our game of the year to talk about is because the conversations about the game of the year every year are the same. It's the same like short list of 20 games, and I just wanted us to like maybe talk a little bit about a game that was special to us, but like it's not the best game, obviously. Obviously Veilguard is a great one to bring up. Like not a ton of people are talking about it as much in the game of the year conversation, although it was in that conversation a bit. I think it wasn't nominated for some game awards as well.
I think it was nominated for maybe one or two,
like RPG or something, right? I
think it was in it for RPG.
Yeah. So you like typically don't get like that deep of a conversation of like best RPG, like just a little bit, but I feel like this is something we should kind of try to do every year, is just at least call out like a game that no one's talking about as much. And so the game for me obviously would be Visions of Mana, which is pretty fun game. I'm a big Mana like fan from back in the day. Oh, why is it playing that video still? Wrong window, Jacob.
I was like, damn, that looks a lot like...
You're like, wait,
I know,
that's Veilguard.
JRPG?
Sorry, it's hard to talk and do this at the same time.
No, you're a legend. You're good.
Yeah, so Visions of Mana, a lot of these like RPGs come out every year. Like there's a ton of JRPGs that come out and like get talked about and people play. There's like some lesser known ones that come out, but this is more of an action RPG, right? So I would say if you kind of dig the gameplay of Kingdom Hearts, you would dig this game. And I like Kingdom Hearts games. I always did. I think the gameplay is pretty fun. But there is like moments of just exploring like a kind of a smaller like open zone. There's like a story going on that I think is pretty good. Like I said, I'm a Mana fan, like from back in the day. Like one of the first RPGs I ever played was for the Super Nintendo, Secret of Mana, which is a really fun game. I played the unreleased fan dub of fucking Secret of Mana 2 on an emulator once, which did come out as Trials of Mana later. And then even more importantly, during middle school, I played this game called Legend of Mana.
Legend of Mana, yeah.
Which is one of my favorite games of all time and still will be forever. And like, so this is still a mana game through and through. There's still a mana tree and a mana sword. That's kind of the thing that ties all these games together, even if the gameplay is basically sort of different each time around. But what makes this one interesting to me, having not really played Trials of Mana, that remake they did, it's like fully voiced. It has like kind of a linear story, unlike Legend of Mana. That game is more, you like kind of choose like the path of the story based on like what you choose to do first. It can lead to different endings and stuff. This game right here is just, it's a story from start to finish. But like I said, the gameplay is fun. Like I said, it's kind of similar to like a Kingdom Hearts style game, but there are 5 different characters. There are like different elements you can equip to get into different classes, and then as you go and unlock more of these like elemental items, you're unlocking more abilities for each of the weapons for each of the classes, and like certain classes are better at certain things like you'd expect. There's like these anime moments where you're doing like an ultimate attack, and they're always like flashy and fun. Like the story hits in ways that you don't expect. I think like after a certain chapter, some shit goes down that I did not expect to happen, that had crazy implications. Although it's still like a janky Japanese RPG game though, right? Like it still has that like dub jank. I think you could play it in Japanese with subtitles if you want. The voice actors are fine. It's just the script is kind of goofy, the tone is weird at times, but like these are just quirks of, for the way I see it, like just how Japanese games are. So it's not anything you wouldn't expect from a game like this. Like I feel like it's also kind of like kid friendly. Like Steven, I bet your 10-year-old would fucking love to play this game and have a good old time with it. You know what I mean? It's not too like dark or weird. Like it's not Final Fantasy 16. You know what I mean?
I'll fucking kill you.
I mean,
Talk about.
I was just telling you earlier today, you
Dueling with nuclear weapons and
100% at Doom. So like,
there you go.
Doom Eternal. So it's like, it's funny what kids get into nowadays. But
I just feel like it was a good game. Like, and as someone with a background in playing mana games, there's a ton of references to like elements and characters from the past games that are in this game. Like there's like a merchant that you'll encounter sometimes in this game that's like doing this weird ass dance, and he's dressed up like he's from like Aladdin, for the movie Aladdin, basically. And those merchants were in Secret of Mana, and they weren't in any other game. And they just like brought him back for this game, and like just little things like that, like fun like little Easter eggs and references.
Like, is it like Hestu from Breath of the Wild? Dancing tree thing that
kind of like that. Only it's like a dude dressed up like Aladdin, or like what I mean, funny. Like with the I like Egyptian. I don't know. Anyway, the clothes with the turban, basically. But he's doing the exact same dance from the game from like when I was fucking, 10 years old or whatever, 12 years old. So yeah, I think it's a good time. If you can catch it on sale, grab it. If you're intrigued and you want a game, like buy it at full price. I don't know. I bought it at release. Have I beaten it? No, but I'm focusing on it and I'm almost at the very end, and it's just been a really good time. And no one is fucking talking about Visions of Mana, so I just wanted to throw the recommendation out there. It was a pretty good game from 2024. Who else?
Hell yeah. Let's go to Miguel, because I was just looking at your other mention, and it is one of my favorite games. So jump forward.
All right. So it was supposed to be a game from 2024, right? So the game of the year for me would not be that game. So the only game that I played that came out in 2024 was the Plucky Squire, and it was a really good game. Like if you like platformers, I really enjoyed the art direction in that game. The fact that it goes from a 2D side scroller or 3/4 type view to 3D, which is really fun. And the story, I mean, it's definitely a kid's game. But as an adult, I can appreciate it. It was fun. I don't know if any of you guys played it.
It's been on my radar.
It's something that I want to play. Like ever since I first saw this game, I wanted to give it a shot. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
I did enjoy the fact that you're able to essentially you're in the story and then you move the words around in certain areas and different things will happen.
That's so cool.
And that's kind of where you'll get like, how he's changing from day to night and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that's really cool. The boss fights are interesting. They're all different. I will say I don't remember it being very long, which is totally fine. I think I got what I wanted out of it for the time, the amount of time that I put into it, essentially.
Oh, short game is music to my ears. Okay.
Yeah, it's not super long. But overall, I thought the idea is really cool. The fact that it's basically a story. You're in a storybook, and it's literally in a storybook. But then you go out into the creator's world essentially. But I highly recommend it if you haven't tried it. I know it, like you said, it's on my list. That'll probably be a game most of you probably never play. These other things will come out.
I will say though, every time I look at that game, I'm just like, how is this real? It's so cool how it switches between 2D and 3D seamlessly like that. It's just insane.
A Zelda game did that a little bit before.
Well, yeah. But I think this does it with more interesting art fidelity, like the nuance with what like you just saw in that last clip before this, like how it was like he was like racing down, and in the flags you see him while there's like a 3D environment going around. Like that's just like totally unique. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I played it, to be 100% honest with you, because I thought it looked really interesting. And overall, like I said, great game. I really enjoyed it. It was totally worth the time that I put into it. I didn't feel like I wanted to just, I don't know if you guys ever feel this, but sometimes I'm just like, I want the game to be over.
Yeah.
I feel like I put in so many
100%.
hours, and like I'm just kind of over it. Like,
yeah,
there is not enough time in the day.
like I'm just over this shit. Just let me beat it. I'm done. Right?
Please let me see the credits.
Like this one, I didn't feel that with this one, if I recall. So, but yeah, super great. I really enjoyed the shit out of it.
Sweet.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Nice, man. All right, cool. Well, since we're on you, let's go to you wanted to talk about disco too, which I always want to talk about. So let's jump to that so we cover your other shout out, and then we'll move on to the rest of the shout outs.
Oh, all right. Well, that was actually my game of the year. So, but
I see. Okay. Then never mind. Then we'll jump over to Steven, and then we'll come back to you.
So I actually changed mine on the fly. It was going to be Path of Exile 2. But I feel like, in the spirit of what Jacob was kind of talking about, it did make sense. And this one kind of, I feel like, flew under the radar because it came out earlier in the year. It's Dragon's Dogma 2. I did not expect to get into this fucking game as much as I did. And I want to get back to it and beat it. I think I have like 50 something hours in it now. But I just love exploring and being in this world. Like, and I love how the quests don't hold your hand, like as to what to do. You have to read and you have to pay attention to like hints and visual cues in the environment and what people are saying. Some of the things are a little obtuse, but I feel like they smoothed out a lot of the stuff that I didn't like from Dark Arisen. And it's just a solid ass action game. One thing that like I appreciate is like it teaches you to be prepared to go out on an adventure or you will get punished. Like and that's okay, right? Like I never felt like, oh shit, the game is being unfair. I felt like, oh, I didn't prepare enough. And I fucked around.
That's on me. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Also, the jobs in the game are just all super interesting from what I've played so far. I love that you can kind of dynamically switch from different like specializations, and like there's master scrolls for things, and there's just so much in this game. Like I want to get back to it. This is like top of my list for the backlog to beat. So. I have
story,
this game as well.
It's there too.
The story is that, like the story's a fantasy story, right? The MacGuffin, go after the MacGuffin. There's an imposter
Link.
or whatever. It's
the story of the Dark Arisen was fucking batshit crazy. So I was like
crazy,
wondering,
but it's like it's almost inscrutably crazy, right? Like, they're just being high fantasy for high fantasy, right?
Yeah. The way everyone talks in this game is evidence of that.
Thou art, the Dark Arisen kind of thing.
Thou ist ost.
Thou hast expelled thine fart from thine buttocks.
It does. Yeah, it does.
Perfect.
Yeah, I would gladly pass ought the wisdom, things like that. So it does have a certain charm to it, right? It's very unique. There's no other game like it, and I think it definitely deserved a shout out.
That is something that I want to complete in this year because I bought it when I fell into the zeitgeist because I wasn't really into the original games, but I just kept watching crazy shit happen in this game, and I'm like, I got to try this. And it was on my old graphics card, and that game did not like my old setup. That was one of the reasons I got to upgrade. So I'm looking forward to really getting into it this year.
Yeah,
they've polished out a lot of the PC issues, so it should be good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Arturo in chat, I just want to shout this out, said Dragon's Dogma and Dragon Age had the best character creators, and it seems to be true, yes. I mean, I really like the Dragon's Dogma 2 character creator. It's real deep. Real deep.
Oh yeah, I love the Dragon Age one. I've begun making my NPCs for my D&D game. I've been using Dragon Age
That's so cool.
to do it.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Great game. The pawn system's fun. And it's just fun, walking around, exploring, dungeon crawling, finding weird shit. You know what I mean? And but you fight a lot of the same enemies over and over again. But again, we were talking about this earlier with Diablo. If the combat is fun, I don't care. I'll kill shit over and over again. It's a good time.
I love that you can grapple things and stab them and stuff. And yeah, it is fun.
Yeah, blast.
Oh yeah. Nice. All right. Well, my game shout out for this year is Dungeons of Hinterberg. This was a fun little Xbox Game Pass little morsel that I just kind of jumped into one day because it looked cool and kind of chill. And the premise of it is that you're this girl who works for a tech company, or I think you're pre-law or something, and you're just getting burnt out on just doing the stuff that everyone tells you you're supposed to be doing as a young adult. And so you go to this town where you can go on this retreat, and years ago, a couple years back or something, this town started experiencing these magical creatures and kind of portals opening up in it. And so now they've kind of turned it into this getaway retreat thing where you go and become a dungeon crawler, and they kind of get the dungeon crawling experience as a getaway type of thing. And so there's quirky little festivals in the town, and it's kind of a mix, but it's it's just kind of a typical dungeon crawler action hack and slash game. But then there's a Persona kind of vibe where there's you do quests for people or just hang out with people. There's kind of social dynamics where if you spend time with this person versus this person, you'll get certain perks. And it's just a really charming and kind of relaxing but really passable dungeon crawling game, and it's just really fun. There's the lead character is kind of just perfectly, it's really well written. It's just about it's about burnout essentially, and it's kind of about just needing to make a switch up in your life or take some time for yourself and remember to do that. And the whole time she's second guessing it. She's kind of wanting to oh, is this the right choice and all that kind of stuff. But then she slowly kind of gets into the fact that oh, this is I deserve this kind of thing. And
she's me for real.
Right? It's really relatable. It's really relatable. And there's a lot of really funny references to kind of Gen Z-isms and just there's some and then it kind of takes the piss out of typical video game dynamics and stuff like that. She'll constantly be that seems that's an unnecessary step, when you have to do some sort of tutorial thing or something like that. She'll reference it, so it's really cool. And also it's got a great graphical style. So
yeah, I like the way it looks. It feels like one of those kind of cozy kind of things.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely, the combat can get challenging, and there's just enough there as far as the customization and the you can do different weapons, and you can get different perk slots within your weapons that gives you different, there's 3 different special moves that you can equip. And there's in each kind of peak, there's several different peaks you can go to in the town, or kind of different hiking trail centers, and they kind of act as open zones, and then you go into dungeons within those open zones. And in each zone there's a different magical power that you kind of utilize, and then there's different kind of special abilities using those magical, you're seeing her snowboarding and stuff like this on a little magical sprite thing. And so it's really cool. You can utilize different elements of things. So Yeah, I really dug it. It's like it was a big surprise for me this year as far as like how much I liked it. I thought I was like, I'll check this out because it looks cute and cozy, and I ended up going all the way through it and having a blast. So
Nice.
yeah, and it's on Game Pass, so what's to lose?
Play it. Play
Yeah.
it.
Play it. All right, well, we're gonna go all the way back around to our guest to talk about your game of the year.
Oh, bother.
Game of the year. My game of the year was Astrobot. Unexpected. I kind of impulse bought it because I was like, well, I just wasn't. I guess I was just in the mood for a platformer at the time, and it was getting great reviews. And it was funny enough, I couldn't even find it in stores like anywhere. Like I had to download it because there was no physical copies. Like it was sold out anywhere you tried to get it when it came out. So I don't think they expected it to sell like it did because they did not provide stores with a lot. But man, I did not expect this to be like one of the greatest 3D platformers I've ever played in my life. I've only platinumed 2 games, and I've had every PlayStation, but I've only platinumed Spider-Man 2 and this. it was like couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. Like I think every level kept on surprising me. At first, I was like, "Well, okay, this is kind of easy. Let's see where it goes." And people are like, "Well, I heard it wasn't very long, so I don't really want to pay for that much for it or whatever." And then I realized I put all this time in it by the end because I just couldn't stop getting every new every new bot. I want to get every bot, all the secrets in every level, and the secrets within the galaxy. There's so much packed into this game that you don't see right at the outset. And the way they just kind of scale the challenge is so good. Like the difficulty curve in this game is so well done. It's
Nice.
spectacular. Like they almost I would say they almost out Nintendo. The only thing that Nintendo does better is the designs of the actual like monsters and stuff because it is super duper generic.
Yeah,
But,
that's my one criticism of when I look at this game is I'm like, I just don't think the enemies look very exciting, but that's all right.
They aren't. They're not exciting at all.
I'm down with them.
Yeah.
I'm down with them.
Yeah. Like I don't mind them having a robot like theme, and I actually don't mind the actual Astrobot design. I think it's cute. I like the little Astrobot dude personally. I would love to have a little bot because I think he's supposed to look that way because you can put any IP on top of him.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I don't know where the legs on that is for like an Astrobot 2. I mean, there's a lot of IP out there. I could see them going outside of Sony more for another game to reference just video games in general. And some of the boss fights are dope. What you're actually doing in the game is so good that I can easily overlook like the design of some of the stuff and the themed levels. Like I just had a dumb smile on my face the whole way through. Like it's good Lord. Like I kept thinking to myself, do I like this? Minor Odyssey was my 2017 game of the year, and I'm thinking to myself, do I like this more than that?
Yeah,
I'm gonna go back and play that to see. Well, no, it was just talking about the challenge levels. But,
there you go.
The more difficult stuff at the end of the game. Like not even at the end of the game, you just find them as Tori once you start completing those galaxies, and so it just the way it keeps you engaged the whole way through with like one more time is just it's so addictive. Like I can't wait to go back and play some more of this. So whenever they release like Astrobot 2, which I would like to think would still be on PS5.
Yeah,
I was just looking at the levels though. But yeah, like all the little abilities and stuff. Like like this game is just the biggest surprise for me of the year for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, Team Sobo like deserves a lot of credit. They stuck it out through being like a VR game and then like a a pack-in demo for the PS5 and then what I mean, that or like a like a proof of concept kind of like thing. And I'm just happy that they like were rewarded with like a full game, you know what I mean? So that's cool.
Yeah, they got to do the whole thing and make what they wanted to. Like, and it just kind of proves that you can be a success without spending $1 billion on a game. You can do it in a sustainable way.
Yeah, it was cool to see this win at the Game Awards just for that reason alone. Like, you know, last year it was Baldur's Gate, which is like, hey, this is how you do a big, giant, amazing RPG right, and like don't muck it up with a bunch of BS and like treat your team well and all that stuff. And then this year it was like, hey, like small, attainable platforming, just pure fun video games like deserve a place in the top echelon. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, long live the 3D platformer.
Agreed.
We also got
Long live the platformer.
like lately there have been new ones that are, you know, that have been coming out, and like they've all been good. And with Astrobot hitting as hard as it did, you better believe more 3D platformers will be coming out. They're being worked on right now. Guarantee it.
Which is huge because it's a genre that hasn't had a ton of love in the past decade, and like with the way that we have video game tech and stuff like that, you can just make them so charming and cool and different art styles.
Banjo.
Give me Banjo. But like I love things like, you know, other little takes on it, like Tinykin a couple of years back, right, and stuff like that.
That's one that I had in mind for sure. Penny's Big Breakaway. It's another great one.
I liked what go for it.
Oh, I was going to say I still have to play Hat in Time because that was really good too.
Yeah, it's another one
from back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I liked what I played of Yuka and Lele too. I didn't finish it, but it was still good. I enjoyed it. Heck yeah! All right, let's shift over to I'm gonna kick it to you, Steven.
Yeah, this one was talked about a lot, but I think for good reason. This game, I could not stop thinking about it. I've played it, I think, every goddamn day. Every day, at least one like round of Balatro. So the Balatro, I never like. I think that's how you pronounce it. Whatever. Mm-hmm. The poker fucking crack game. It is just crack in a video game, and it's too addicting, and it's a problem. And I have it on 3 platforms, and I love it. It's so good. It's
Get an 8-ball of Balatro.
Yeah.
And when you start to understand like the secret, I think the special thing about this game is it looks simple, right? Simple to pick up, hard to master, right? Mm-hmm. And I still feel like I'm missing some of the mastery of it. So
yeah. And
I probably have like well over 100 hours into this game across the platform. So yeah, just the first win, when you finally get that first win, because it does take a bit, right, for you to kind of get to formulate a strategy, to understand like the hidden mechanics. All right, you have to arrange the jokers a certain way so that the multipliers hit right, and then the chips are adding before the multipliers and things like that, right? And there's, you know, like if you buy, for instance, if you buy like the blank, I guess this is spoiled. If you buy the blank, does nothing, right? Like it doesn't really do nothing. Like after you buy like I think 10 separate times, it gives you like a secret voucher which does something cool. I'm not gonna spoil. Mm-hmm. There's just so much things to discover in this game, and they added like the cool skins to it. Like I play with the Witcher set now on it, so
that's awesome.
Geralt is covering the king, and like I think they have Dave the Diver stuff there as well in there.
Yep.
It's just such a good game, man. It's one of those ones where it's like it's so pick up and play too. Perfect for the Steam Deck, perfect for the Switch, probably the phone. I'm not gonna get it on my phone because if I get it on my phone,
You're doomed.
Seriously not play any other effing game.
I've been saving up my survey reward money from Google, and I'm at $8 basically. So I'm almost there. It's $10 on mobile.
It's so tempting because, like, you know, the form factor of a phone feels like it would be perfect for that, right? So
yes.
This sounds like
I already have Slay the Spire on my phone, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I was about to say this sounds like my current addiction to Slay the Spire on my phone, and it's dangerous.
Are you excited for 2? I'm excited for 2. Anyways, that's
so excited for 2. What seems like such a cool thing about this game is that it is truly like a roguelite, like whatever you want to call it. In the fact that you're saying like there's things to unlock, there's things to discover, like the way you go about building a deck or whatever. I haven't played this game, so I don't really know what I'm talking about. But it just seems like this is so much deeper than just a poker game or whatever. And here's Ben Starr.
The jokers are like your like in a normal roguelike game when you get a build, you have like a weapon or some abilities, whatever. In this game, it's jokers, right? The jokers like do certain things, like every odd card that's scored gives a +4 multiplier to your score, shit like that. Or you can make like certain poker hands, level them up so they'll score higher, et cetera, et cetera. So like you're basically gearing up poker hands with cheating joker cards to score super high to make it all the way to the end. That's kind of how it works.
That's awesome. So you can like pick like, oh, I'm gonna make this suit, or this like I'm gonna go all in on straights or all in on flushes or things like that kind of stuff.
Precisely, yeah. And you want to synergize jokers, obviously, too.
So now one more thing I wanted to mention before leaving this was the boss blinds, right? And what's cool about the boss blinds is I feel like they're kind of dynamic, right? I feel like they read your strategy that you're trying to go for and fuck it.
Like, they fuck it up. Cool. Yeah,
they're like, all right, you're playing with clubs or spades a lot, right? Well, those are all disabled. You can't play clubs, right?
Yeah,
so disabled.
So you gotta cover your ass like with. You gotta have like
no discards or yeah.
So you have to be able to think on your feet.
You got to just kind of have like at least an alternate way of earning points as well and shit. But like you learn all that the more you play, and you lose 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 and you lose.
I finally got it, and I played one game and lost. Yeah, okay, I'll get back to this at some point.
I do encourage you to not just focus on jokers if you're gonna play, right?
Yeah.
Make sure you're upgrading the cards in the deck as well, which is vital, right? So, this is what happens when, So the only way to beat the game, I guess, is to literally break it. I think it was Tetris, right? But,
thank you, Linguini on YouTube,
right,
for this video.
And they've only found this out way late last year. They finally found this. And it just errors out. It's just funny.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Tetris, where the only way to beat it is to error it out, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Which I thought was really cool. It's a nice touch. And like, I just like how it flips the expectations for what something should be.
I want it
almost every time you play, right? Like, I got this run in the bank, right? And then something happens just to completely screw over, and a lot of it's luck based, right? So it's like it keeps you on your toes.
100%. So much luck is needed in this fucking game.
And it's just that part of my brain that's like, all right, I want to plan for this, and this, and also this.
Those Joker cards,
but
are
also
so
one more
creepy looking.
Yeah.
Those
By design.
Cards are so creepy looking. Oh my god.
There is like a weird like kind of undertone to this game that feels like there's something like sinister happening. Like I've heard it described as like, like if there's some lore of like, oh yeah, you stumbled into like a random gas station like slot machine type of thing, and then now you're trapped, like or something like that.
This is giving me anxiety. That's like crazy.
That is crazy. That was hard to look at.
Got some inscription twist that no one's discovered yet.
I wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot of secrets in the game. So
dope ass game though. Dope ass game.
Damn, that's cool, man. Cards. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Cards.
If you told me poker was my game of the year, I'd be like, bullshit. No.
Yeah, you really would. Yeah. All right, Miguel, what you got for us? I'm excited to talk about this, even though it's not a 2024 game, but it's amazing.
It is definitely not a 2024 game. I believe it came out in 2019. Disco Elysium.
Oh shit, I have this. I just haven't fully started it yet.
I would definitely play it. It's fucking amazing. I like the idea of there's really no combat in this game. It's almost like you're reading a story, like a book. And I got
hit by some kids once.
Yeah, so like you can play it a bunch of different ways. Apparently, there's I think 4 different like classes that are pre-made. and then you can just build your own character. I went with the Thinker, which he's very introspective, and there's a lot of like inside dialogue in your head essentially, but the writing's great, the voice acting's really, really good. I went full communist, which I thought was really fun.
I went like full nihilist. It was really depressing. So it's definitely a very depressing game. The character himself is depressing in general, but you're trying to solve a murder essentially, but it's really fucking good. I really enjoyed the music too. The soundtrack in this game is amazing. I highly recommend going back to it, Foxy Steve. Like, it didn't take me very long to beat. I mean, I do fall asleep a lot, so that did happen because it is very dialogue heavy.
Oh, believe me, I get that. Yeah,
not because it's boring, but there's
the whole thing is dialogue, right? Like,
yes, the whole thing,
power and stuff.
I mean, stuff plays out, but it more in like an adventure game sense than like.
I have it. I just haven't started it.
I have it too.
I hear really great things about it, especially because I guess like the definitive edition has fully voiced as well. So
that's crucial. If I was reading this whole game, I don't think I would have gotten through it.
Yeah, no. Like I said, the voice acting I thought was really good. Like, had there not been voice acting, I probably wouldn't have finished it.
Yeah, the original really good like didn't have voice acting for sure.
Yeah, there's really good D&D mechanics.
God, what's that old CRPG? Torment.
Planescape Torment.
Yeah, Planescape Torment. Yeah, kind of reminds me of that style, like the over the isometric a little bit. Kind of.
There's some really funny things, like when you equip like some pants or something, it'll give you like charisma or something like that. Like,
yeah. That reminds me of what you could do in Planescape Torment, right? Like, there's a lot of that, and most of Planescape Torment is like talking to people and seeing what you can do to convince somebody to do this or that. There's like very little combat, right?
Yeah, it's very.
I would argue there's no combat in this game whatsoever. It's all done through dialogue.
I the only time I died, I like accidentally got electrocuted by a light bulb or something. That was like when I died. You can
die from like a damaged ego, essentially.
Yeah. Oh, that's true too. There was one where I was like, it was like, I forget what it was. It was like I felt so embarrassed that I just let myself go into the black.
Especially at the beginning of the game, because you're just starting out. So like, and if you don't have any like items to get your morale back or health, you could die in one hit essentially. So what I didn't realize, what I should have been doing from the get-go, is just save. And save before any dialogue that you're going to have with any character, because you don't know what's going to happen. But I thought it was great. I'm sad that it took me this long to get to it, and not knowing that it had been around. But I thought it was great. It was an amazing game. Very, very.
I'm sure it's an awesome Steam Deck game. I played it on Switch, and it was totally enjoyable.
Hell yeah!
So, highly recommend it.
We all own it, but only 2 of us have played it, so we need to step it up. Fucking step it up, boys.
Yeah, that is definitely on my to-do list. Especially after playing Citizen Sleeper, which is pretty much the same type of game.
Cool.
And being kind of lost into that game, I'm like, I need to get on my shit and play this.
That's majorly on my list for sure. All right. Well, Jacob, take us there.
I think it's the same game that you're going to talk about. So
exactly. So that's why I'm like, take us in.
So like I mentioned earlier, I haven't beaten a lot of games this year. Indiana Jones, great game, and I think if I did beat it before the end of the year, I would have said that's probably my game of the year, just because it's like a really awesome like experience, fun. But like, I didn't beat Indiana Jones, so obviously the only game that matters that I beat this year is Shadow of the fucking Erd Tree, bitches. All right.
Oh,
And this game
man.
fucking is amazing. Now, I know there's a lot of like, oh, it's just DLC and blah, 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 blah. Look, I get it. Miguel's game of the year is Disco Elysium. Obviously, it's fuck you, okay? Fuck everyone.
Yeah.
We can say
Yeah,
wable
exactly.
game we want as game of the year, and that's okay.
Oh, fucking hell. If I knew that, I would have said Nier.
That's why that is why I asked before I came on tonight. I was like, I didn't really play any games that came out last year.
Yeah, I think that we should at least be talking about one game from 2024, but like, it's subjective. But like, that being said, do I feel like Shadow of the Erd Tree was like enough of content to say this is a game? Yes, I think so. It was like
Hell
30,
yeah.
40 hours worth of video gameage. And yes, you need to play through the entirety of Elden Ring to get to the point, essentially in almost the entire game, to get to the point to
huge chunk
play
of it.
Shadow of Erd Tree. That is true. But that once you get to that point, you are now playing like essentially a whole other game with a completely different world map, a different way of exploring. Essentially, it's pretty different in a lot of ways, and it's definitely a shit ton more content. There's a lot more abilities, weapons, outfits. What is it? Swag Soul or Fashion Soul? Fashion Soul.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Very
There's so much good fashion souls in this extent.
Very important.
Now,
Yeah, not to mention the bosses, a bunch of them too, all really great. Some very fucking difficult, especially that last boss.
I was going to ask about a hippo. Why do I keep hearing about a hippo?
There's hippos in the game.
It's-
They're not so hard for me, at least.
And then there's one hippo boss, and I beat it first try. I don't know what everyone was tripping about.
It's not that bad, but like people are bad at games, and that's sort of the problem here. But it also kind of
Cool thing
depends
about
on
Elden
your
Ring is
build. Sorry, go ahead.
no, that's okay. Cool thing about Elden Ring really is that it can be as hard or as easy as you want it to be. This is the most accessible Souls game.
100%.
Like even in the DLC, there's a million things you can do to make this stuff easier on yourself if you want it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean,
And with this one, I loved that like there was that one of the main ways in which you make it easier is by going around and exploring and just like finding more nooks and crannies, and all of a sudden you have more ways to upgrade all your stuff and then new weapon arts and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was amazing that way.
yeah. They did also introduce like new weapon types that weren't in the game prior. A lot of them.
Kung fu and shit.
Yep. There was like a new type of claw weapon. There's a great katana, which I fucking hella used in my first playthrough of it. I haven't played through it twice, but I almost started to like say fuck every game and play through it again for another 40 hours. And that's just I just love Elden Ring so much, and this DLC just added like that extra content. And not to mention it added to the zeitgeist of Elden Ring or any From game out there in general, where like we had so much lore to talk about even before the DLC, and the DLC comes out and it like recontextualizes the original game in ways, in story ways, in environment and history ways that you can only glean if you're like really looking and paying attention. Because it's the From games, there's story told to you, but a lot of it you have to kind of figure out. But that's what's fun about it, and so it reignited a lot of Elden Ring lore discussions, and it just basically felt like essentially a sequel to Elden Ring. And holy shit, was it such a great experience! Not to mention, it was rewarding, like playing it at the same time as a bunch of my friends, and we were just kind of like chit chatting about stuff and being like, "Oh, did you check out this?" or "Oh, you should go here," and that made it like a ton of fun. So. Well, I have to say, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree is the game that I played this year that wowed me and sucked me in like no other game did.
Hell yeah, dude! I totally agree. I think this game took a lot of the best parts of Elden Ring and just upped them even more. The whole Dragon Peak that you go up to, and just like that whole sequence where you're getting all this more lore of the dragons, and that whole fight with Bale. Yeah, oh my god,
Hell
dude.
you, bitch!
Yeah, just the whole like Moby Dickness of that whole sequence, and you're like, that's so fucking cool. Learning more about Marika, learning more about Miquella, which was like the piece of the Elden Ring lore that was really missing most. And yeah, some of the locales, like those blue flower fields, the red flower fields, the just some of the under depths with all the jars and the fucking disgusting things coming out of them, and then you learn why they're that way, and it's so sad. And then then you're like, oh yeah, I get why America was so pissed. And then even finding America's little tranquil village with her one little tiny Erd tree that she made to heal everyone, but everyone's dead. And you're like, oh man, it's so sad.
Hit you right in the feels. And there's some big secrets about the events of Elden Ring that are it shakes everything up, and you're like, whoa. And there is a moment in the DLC where something shifts, and you're like, oh, holy shit. Whoa, that's crazy. That's what's going on here. You know what I mean?
One of the final, one of the final bosses before the final boss. You're like, oh fuck.
Yeah,
it's
at the beginning of this game. It's what I was like. How is this gonna work? And then when you get to that boss, you're like, yeah, this is what I thought was gonna happen.
The other thing that's kind of cool about this is the Elden Ring, in the base game, you're so an archaeologist combing through this, sifting through this past events that have happened, where this game kind of puts you in the action because you're following Mikola. You're only a few kind of days behind him in his, in whatever's happening. And so you and the other Tarnished that are there are actually making things happen in a way, so I love that. There's a stealth portion of this game, which is what, and that part is so cool. So
good.
Amazing shit.
Obsessed.
Yeah, this year was a little bit of a weird one for me as well, in that I played a lot of games, but I didn't beat a lot of games. I think our task as moonlighters, moonlighting podcasters and gaming enthusiasts, we don't play games for a living. We don't get time to play games for work, or it's not our priority to beat games for work like some journalists and stuff so we're doing this in our free time, which means we love
get in where you can fit in, that.
Yeah, exactly. And Jacob gets the shit for gets called the 5-minute gamer and stuff, but he tries out a ton of games, and I try out as many as I can also. Yeah. Utilizing things like Game Pass or demo days or things like that. But this year was weird because I feel like I played a ton of games, but then only beat a handful. So
totally. The ones same. A lot of these top 10 lists that I've been looking at, my goal last year was to not buy a lot of new games, and then by the end of the year, I have 7 of the 10 top 10 games that came out. I don't know what the fuck happened.
But I mean, it's because you gotta. There's certain games you're like, well, I fucking gotta buy that shit.
And did I beat them? No, I beat Doom 2016. What the fuck am I doing?
Hey man, I'm about to play Doom 2016 for the first time.
Let's go!
Because I was excited. Yeah.
After watching Dark Ages today. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm
definitely playing Eternal.
I'm due for a replay of Doom 2016 because I played it on Switch, and that was 20 FPS the whole time. So I probably should try it again. It was still good, but on this PC, man, I'll be hitting the 144 hertz. We'll be good.
I beat it on a 240 hertz, 49-inch ultra wide, and it was glorious.
Hell yeah! Well, we're gonna get out of there because speaking of some Doom, we're gonna talk about some stuff from the Xbox Dev Direct today on another on an NPD React or NGD Reacts, but a couple other shout outs. Games I wish I would have finished to be able to say they were Game of the Year. Metaphor Refantasio.
Ditto.
I loved Harold Halibut, which was a crazy one, mostly for the art style. The games that had me addicted to my phone were things like Elder Scrolls Castles and Pokemon Trading Card Pocket.
TCG, baby.
Pal World was huge at the beginning of the year. I had a ton of fun with the time that.
I forgot that I have it.
Right.
Yeah.
Rivals was still having fun with Rivals to this day.
Rivals was so big, and actually a massive group of our friends are playing right now.
There you go. That's awesome. Hell yeah. Well, anyways, but it's been a good year. It was a good year for games last year, and it's already shaping up to be an even maybe bigger one this year. So
Stalker 2 came out. Lots of Nintendo games came out. What else? There was another
Flintlock.
one.
Remember Flintlock?
Flintlock came out. Remember that?
I started Flintlock, and I was like, This feels like it costs about this much to make.
Yeah.
Oh, like a new Super Mario Party game came out 2024,
Yeah.
which was supposed to be really good. Mech Warrior 5 Clans came out. I mean, Crow Country was huge.
Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess. That was fun.
Oh, Ara History Untold.
These games.
Really great
Early
strategy
access
game.
stuff hit this year. I think the rest of the Wicked.
Yeah, man.
and early access hit this year.
Was a hit.
Ooh, I put a
Zelda?
good chunk into Metal Slug Tactics this year.
Yeah, no, it's pretty fun. Pretty fun game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
These two I spent 50 hours in.
Jesus Christ, too many fucking games.
Hell yeah. Bro.
Let's see. Plucky Squire. Just kidding. I just wanted to bring us back around to one of the games we already said.
Saga was pretty cool. It was amazing visuals.
I am
Senua's
remiss.
Saga. Man,
Also
what a
very
game.
good. I am remiss to just throw out there 2 more games that are amazing sci-fi games. One of which that I have, of course, Helldivers 2 was really fucking fun earlier in the year, and Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2, which is I played at CES in a fucking pod. It was literally like a pod, right? Where you're sitting back. There's haptics in the pod, and you're surrounded by a speaker system with a big old woofer. And so first time I played that game, it was just a demo for the pod playing Space Marine 2, and I was like, holy shit, this is metal, dude. I want that game so bad.
Yeah, one day we'll get it and we'll play through it in co-op and we'll be back with a blast.
Steven just got it.
I have it, yeah.
Stoked. All right, that's it. That's all.
Hell yeah,
Couple
y'all.
other shout-outs.
Game of the Year 2024. Thanks everyone for joining me. Thanks for our guest Foxy Steve. Foxy Steve, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on Blue Sky at Foxy Steve, as well as twitch.tv/Foxy Steve and youtube.com/@Foxy Steve. With 2 X's. Woo.
Don't you hate that?
There's
Don't you
why.
hate that symbol on YouTube?
Yeah.
Got
it. I know I do. Well, if you've liked this Game of the Year discussion, check out NPD or NGD. Sorry for all our gaming content. That is twitch.tv/Neon Pocket Dimension and youtube.com/@symbol. Neon Gaming Dimension there for you. We're also we're on Blue Sky, Twitter and Blue Sky at NPD Squad. So you'll always post there when we're doing stuff like we're doing right now. So check it out there. Hell yeah.
It's green.
I made it green because we're going to talk about Xbox.
It's green and it makes me giggle.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording now. Bye, everyone.